One more before we break. NFL now. Sunday afternoon, Bengals and the Ravens. Ravens at home, 4.5. 40.5 the total. Ravens went no huddle and clicked against the Browns on that Thursday night game. A good performance against the Cowboys. 7.1 yards per play, no turnovers, 1 sack. But the Cowboys ran 67 plays against them, and they had those 2 long drives that kept them off the field as well. Penalties killed them, 12 for 136. Joe Flacco's having a bad year. 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, Flacco, that one run to the Super Bowl when Joe Flacco was perfect for a month. I mean, you look at his QB rating since that time. Not very good. Last year he was an 83.1. This year he's an 80. But the issue right now for Baltimore is cleaning up those penalties. You mentioned numbers 2 in the NFL in penalty yards. Last week, they moved the ball up and down the field against the Cowboys. They had 7 yards per play. They only took 1 sack. They didn't turn the ball over. They only scored 17 points. How can that happen? Simple. Penalties. John Harbaugh, quote, "You can look at the officiating all you want. You can look at the calls. You can ask yourself whether the calls are being made on both sides all you want. That's not going to fix anything. We've just got to find a way to do it our way, playing in such a way that we don't have penalties." It comes down to every coach and every player. I think it's a reflection of the coaches. It's what we have to do as coaches to make sure our guys play without flags flying. I like John Harbaugh taking responsibility for those flags last week. One would expect fewer miscues for the Ravens this time.
Well, this talk about no A.J. Green, and certainly it's big, one of the best NFL wide receivers out there, but Bernard is one of the most underrated role players. You look at this graphic, his rushing and receiving yards, 2014, 680 on the ground, 349 catching the ball. Last year, 2 years ago, 730 and 472, and this year, 337 and 336, and one of the best blocking running backs in the NFL. They lose Bernard, they lose Green, as we talked about on our season preview, and much of the season, Sanu and Jones are gone. Who the hell's Dalton throwing to? How are they going to move the ball?
Well, how are they going to run the football? I mean, look, Jeremy Hill is a decent runner. He is not a great blocker. He is not a great pass catcher. When you talk about Giovanni Bernard, look at the receiving yards, every bit as much as the rushing yards. He's a great dump-off guy for Dalton out of the backfield. They will miss him. And when you talk about the ability to pick up blocks on third down and then cut out to be the dump-off guy for the quarterback, that is a huge loss. Maybe not as big a loss as the arguably the best receiver in the NFL or the best receiver outside of Julio Jones in the NFL. For A.J. Green, but it is, it is a significant loss for Cincinnati. And all the load's on Andy Dalton now. Dalton had great stats last year with great players around him. Look at the career numbers. QB rating in the 80s, in the 80s, in the 80s. Oh, 2015 is at 106.2. Well, this year he's back down to 91, and one would expect that QB rating may continue to decline because Andy Dalton doesn't have a whole lot of guys to throw to. He's got to be a playmaker this week. Since he's going to hang around in this ballgame and have a chance to win it, he's got to be a playmaker. He spent most of his career as a game manager.
Hey guys, for the full video, go to sbrpicks.com.
Do your research before you bet. Check out our ratings guide to see which books have the best ratings and sign-up bonuses. Open up several accounts. Shop for lines at sbrodds.com. Always be ahead of the game.